Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining our webinar this afternoon, migrating WebLogic server on Kubernetes on OCI to Kubernetes on OCI. Today, we have Jimmy and YK who will be leading you through the workshop. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. The event is being recorded and will be shared with you following the event. So without further ado, I hand over to the team.
Yep. Thanks, Jane. So welcome everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Jimmy. I'm a cloud specialist. I in charge for the infrastructure and network and security. And at the same time, also involved in this WebLogic portions. And we are based in Malaysia. And yeah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is YK. Together with Jimmy, we are calling in from Malaysia, KL. So I'm also part of the Oracle Cloud team as well. So I specialize on the middleware, including WebLogic as well. So okay, that's all for my introductions. Jimmy, back to you.
Yep, thanks. So just a quick glance about our agenda today. We have a number of labs. But we anticipate the time will be within 1 hour to complete because Kubernetes is quite simple to set up, right? So before we start the labs, I would like to show how we set up the trial accounts. I believe everyone have received the emails that you are entitled to sign up for the trial account with some free credits, right? And yeah, so basically you need to come into the oracle.com/cloud.free, right? Or probably you just need to click on the welcome email and it will lead you to that portal. So this is how the portals looks like. You just need to click the start for free button here. And yeah, so I just show the actual sites on how the trial accounts to be looks like. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, so this is a screen. Once you click on the sign up, you need to fill out where's the country you're from, your name and email, and then click verify and you get the emails. And then, this is the sample in how it looks like. And then you need to set the passwords and things like that, right? So it will lead you to a console screen. Maybe just skip further. You may not need to fill the payment because you have been whitelisted, so you no need to do that. And yeah, will be the welcome email once you fill up all the informations. And secondly, you just need to click you can click the email again and to sign up to log in to the Oracle Cloud account. The cloud account name is the one that you defined earlier in one of the sections. So just key in and then fill up click on this identity cloud service and then enter your email and password. So it's that simple, okay? So let's back to my screen here. Yes, so this will be a hands-on lab. Probably I just copy this URL into the chat so that you can just click on it and follow my labs here, right? Okay, so next is before we start the lab, just have some overview about our cloud native services. Nowadays, a lot of people been moving to cloud, not only just lift and shift, but they are looking into building their containers, like their applications. So for WebLogic, it's part of the journey that you can consider to modernize by using our tools. So what we provide is that we have a Kubernetes management here. And then you can manage all your Dockers, right? So apart from WebLogic, if you have some other system, you can do that as well, right? And then we have the serverless component, which is part of the function project that we been set up a few years ago. Apart from that, we also provide automation tools called Terraform. This is the one of the de facto tools that many of the cloud customers today they are exploring this automation tool, so that you do not need to just click the wizard to provision the services. It's like an automation. You can just bring up all the resources at a very fast manner. Okay. So what is container? Some of the basic understanding is that it's run on the Docker engines. So you put your image here, and then the underlying infrastructure is still the same. And you share the common OS, so you do not have to install OS each of the container like the virtual machines. So you just need to bring the Docker image, and then you can spin up your container, all your applications, right? And then to manage a lot of containers in the later stage, it will be good that you adopt the Kubernetes, so you can orchestration for all the containers, like doing patchings, upgrades, some of the lifecycle component. Okay. And just to introduce our cloud solutions, what we have other than the IaaS solution for the compute storage, this is some of the PaaS solution as well. And those are cloud native that we are focused on today is about containers and Kubernetes. And the DevOps tools, other than the Terraform, we have others, Ansible and Chef, as part of the automation tools, right? And we also provide or support other languages. Of course, we Oracle database. You can choose the SQL or no SQL, and then we have some others DevOps too as well for the automations or some of the monitoring tools as part of the observability, right? Right. So I would like to the OK, we call it OKE, Container Engine for Kubernetes. So we provide the registry. Usually you will publish your image into your public repo. At the same time, Oracle provide the OCI registry, so you can keep the image or Docker image in OCI based on your tenants. So it's not shared with the public. So you have your private instead. Okay, and we provide a encryption solution as well, so you can have your own key for the encryptions. And this is the OKE cluster that we provide the management, and it comes with the three master, or we call it ADs, which is in one data center you have three isolated power distributions. It's like three different racks, so that you can isolate one of the server that if there's any problem, you have another one that can back it up. So it's part of our HA solutions. Okay, you have the dashboard access, right? So this tool is Oracle managed, is our responsibility, right? And the only things that you will need to take care is based on the nodes that you provision. You can have a choice of virtual machines or bare metal, and that will be part of the customer managed, right? This diagram is just to tell that what we supported. So it's a standard focus, similar to any other cloud. It's an open standard. This is the registry I just mentioned earlier. And in the same time, we provide some of the workflows. You can use your CI tools like Jenkins, and then at the same time, you can just publish or run your containers in our OKE. And we provide a REST API, dashboard, and etc. And it's enterprise ready because everything is fully managed by Oracle, and you do not have to worry about the high availability and patching for the management cluster. Okay, and it's really easy to spin up. Just one click. I will show later. And if you would like to go for a very high performance, you can go for the full bare metal, right? So we have not only a virtual machine, you can run this in like a physical server, right? And we have the access control. This is very important for enterprise because we want to get the right people to access the right resources. And we have this secret key as well for the KMS. Okay. Right. So this will be some of the architecture that we're going to deploy the WebLogic. So first thing to do is that we're going to spin up the Kubernetes cluster. This will be the first thing. And then we will deploy the WebLogic operator. Basically is to manage the WebLogic domain and the server here, right? So you can, provisions. And at the same time, we need this traffic. It's like a load balancer that there's all the web services requests coming from internet will come to this traffic. This is another open source tools that we use today as a load balancer. Okay, and we will deploy this through the ham. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with the lab one. So I just close this and let's go back to this. Let me see. All right. Okay. So I'm going to put side by side here and click lab one. No, it should be lab. Yes, lab one. Yep. So in this lab, we're going to create a OKE instance. And then we're going to use the Cloud Shell and to configure the kube controller. And it's really simple, right? So I just show this. All right. So first thing that once you log on to, probably I just have a quick intro about the OCI console. So once you log in your own console, and this will be the region that this is a landing page and tell that which region the OCI cloud that you are using now. So during the free trial startup, you will need to indicate which data center you want, right? So we have quite a lot here. So you can just select the one that closest to you or the one that you think that is your favor, right? Right. So this will be the region, and this is a quick start guide. You can explore other deployment things that you think you want to try it out. Okay, this is a quick guide and follow the rest here. Okay. So first thing first, we need to, before we spin up, we need to create a compartment. So the compartment basically is a logical entity that you want to put your resources. Okay. So from here, by right, you only have the root compartment only. All right. So to have your resource and in a really organized way, you can create a compartment. So for this case, I just say demo. Okay. So I will not do that because I have quite a lot here. So I don't want to mess up all the compartments. So let's start with the OKE. So come to the menu bar here and click on developer services. And we have this is all the developer services that we provided. And now we're going to click on Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Right. So I have create one. Basically, you just need to create the cluster. So this is a quick create. So based on the lab, the guide will showing the same thing. Just click on the quick create. Right. Just launch this. Right. So give it a name. So I put it okay. WebLogic Kubernetes cluster and the compartment that you created earlier. And this is the version. You have the choice if you want to go for the lower versions. And this will be the API endpoint. This will be the public because we are having the web services coming from the internet. So we put the endpoint here. And the worker nodes, we put it in the private so that it does not expose to public internet. So we want to keep behind the load balancer, right? So this is the default options. And the shapes is that this is, as I mentioned, that you can go for the virtual machine shapes or the bare metal shapes here, all right? And you can go scroll down, there are plenty here, right? So E stands for the AMD processor. So we're going to go choose the E3 Flex. E3 Flex is a very flexible way. It's not, you can decide how many OCPU that you want. In Oracle, we call it OCPU. If we want to translate the OCPU to vCPU, is you need to times two, sorry. So for example, that if you choose one OCPU, meaning you have two vCPU, right? So for this demo, I will just go for this one, 1 and 16 gig memory. And this is the node. So we start with 3, and in future, you can spin up more as and when the container is more that you want to get the cluster, bigger cluster, all right? Or you have a multiple cluster, then you can create that as well, all right? So just click next. Okay. For a second. I think I will skip that because I have created the sample of the cluster because it will take some time. It's about 10 minutes to spin up. So basically, you can refer to this lab. This is how it looks like. Once we click next, it will give you the summary of what you have entered. So you just have a look here to confirm the option is correct. Then you create the cluster. All right. And so this will be the same screen that I show here. It will take about 10 minutes for the whole things. Then you just make sure that the cluster status is showing active, right? So this is a node pool. You can check what is the node pool looks like. So you have one cluster called pool 1, and then this is the nodes that we mentioned there is 3 earlier. Okay, so this is the 3 VM. All right. So next, what we're going to do is that we need to access the Kubernetes cluster, and we provided a cloud shell for you to directly access from the browser, right? So let's go back to here. There's a two-way to access. You can choose OCI CLI tools and then configure some of the keys that referring to Cloud Shell, because Cloud Shell is simply access to the tenancy in the browser, so you do not have to configure that portion, right? Next is the hold a second. I need to click the one. You can just copy here. So while waiting the Cloud Shell to spin up, spin here, and just need to paste it. Okay. All right. So this will bring you to the Kubernetes management cluster. So that will be the access, and then next is that to check the nodes. Just copy this controller get nodes and to list out how many nodes that is actually this cluster is provided. So cube control get nodes, right? So I have 3 nodes as I mentioned earlier. The one that I show. It's been running 18 hours. So I have spin up this yesterday. All right. So to keep the time safe, I just spin up earlier without waiting for the 10 minutes. All right. So this is a lab 1, and how easy is that we just click the wizards, and then for 10 minutes the cluster is ready, and the Kubernetes management cluster. Right. Next is we're going to install the WebLogic operator. Okay, so this tool is an extension for the WebLogic that used to simplify the management and operation of WebLogic domain deployment. All right. So this is tools that we developed to spin up the WebLogic domain at a later stage. But so we're going to prepare this first. So maybe I just bring back to my screen here. Right. So what we have done in that one is that we bring up the Kubernetes cluster with the 3 nodes. Now we're going to deploy the WebLogic operator. Okay. So first thing that we need to create the namespace called sample WebLogic namespace. So let's get back to here. Right. All right. It's been created. So we have this environment, and then we need to create the service account that to be used for this WebLogic operator. And just need to run the command to create the service account, right? Next is that we need to add the report on the Helm chart, right? So it's called WebLogic, and then we're getting it from the Oracle GitHub. Right. Next is to install the operator. So this is the actions that we're going to do. There's a two-way. You can create your custom YAML file if you want to. For this demo, we're going to use the set so that we just define it here. All right. So this will be the command. This will be the command. All right. So we basically tell that this is the version 3. This is the namespace that we created earlier. And then we're going to get the image from here. This is the location. And then set the service account that we have been created earlier on. And then set the domain space. We leave it blank because it's not up yet. So in the later lab, we will use that. Okay. All right, I think it should be done, and let's wait for a while. Yep, so this is the expected result show. The status is showing the. So this is how's the output to be looked like. Okay, and let's check about the port here. So while installing the port, will be up and running here as well, right? So you can see the status running. Okay, I think it will take some time to get it ready. 1.1, and then yeah, we need to check the Helm charts here. Let's copy that. So we're going to list it. All right, it's here. All done. And this is the versions that we mentioned earlier. Okay. Next is, yep. So the operator has been installed, and we will go for the next lab. So what have we done here so far is the WebLogic operator. We get it from the Helm charts and then deploy it with a few commands. And this is running in the namespace that we defined earlier. Now, next lab is we're going to install the traffic for the load balancers. All right. So this is the lab 3. Let's get this done quickly. So as usual, we need to define the namespace for this traffic, right? So we have this isolated environment for this to be run, where the namespace has been created, traffics, and same thing. We're going to get the repo from here. This is the main Helm repo. Okay. Then yeah, we next is we going to curl the values YAML, but at the same time we just define it as traffic values, so we know where is it. All right, so this will be simple as that. And if I say ls, yeah, so this is the YAML that we just curl and download it. We rename it from the values to traffic values. All right. Next is we're going to install. Simple as that. Helm install. Okay. So from here, we just tell that we want to install in the namespace called traffic. The values will refer to traffic values YAML, the one that we just downloaded. And then we're going to set the Kubernetes namespace here, right? And the space size is called load balancer, all right? And that's all. Let's see. Let's see what is the next. Okay. All right. So it's been deployed. This is the first revision, right? So it's been deployed. Next is that we're going to check the services. How is the installation going? Yep. So we can see the name. This is a traffic operator and it's a load balancer, and we have the cluster IP, and the external IP is still pending. Let's wait for a while. So we're going to run the same command. I believe it will take some time for that. So let's wait. Okay. So this is the load balancer IP address that we just take note on this, that we're going to use later on. And yeah, basically, if you want to check the what is the public IP, but I think we are fine. We can see it here, so we can skip that. Otherwise, you can use the command, and then we're going to see what is the hem charts for this. Let's verify again. All right. Okay. So basically, this is how fast that we just deploy the traffic load balancer, and we call it traffic operator.
So on lab 4, I'll be showing you how to deploy a WebLogic domain into the Kubernetes cluster that we have created. And then after that, on lab 5, I'll be showing you how you can actually scale your WebLogic managed server. So in case that you need additional load, additional resources for your load, so you can increase the managed server accordingly. And then on lab 6, I'll be showing you how to deploy a new image. So let's say you have the new releases that you want to deploy, so you can actually deploy a new image into the Kubernetes cluster as well. Okay. So before I start, let me go through a bit of what we have done earlier on, what Jimmy had done earlier on the previous lab exercises. And then I'm going to give you a bit of detail of what is next, and so that you have some ideas before you start on the lab sessions. Okay. So on lab 1, Jimmy has guided you through on how to provision a Kubernetes cluster. So this is a fully managed cluster by Oracle. And then after that, we actually deploy the Kubernetes, the WebLogic operator as well. So you create a namespace, and then after that,
YK?
Yeah.
I think you need to share your screen.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought I shared it, right?
Okay.
Okay. You got this? So sorry about that, guys.
You can see it now.
So what happened is I'm going to give you a details explanation about the activities that we have done earlier on, and then what is next, so that we have some overall ideas that what's happening in the next sessions. So first of all, Jimmy already showed you how to actually provision the Kubernetes clusters. Just it takes probably about a couple of minutes using Oracle's cloud. You can just provision a Kubernetes cluster. And then after that, he also show you how to deploy the WebLogic operators. So basically, WebLogic operators is an extension of the Kubernetes to allow you to manage WebLogic's life cycle. For example, how to configure the WebLogic, how to start the WebLogic, and things like that. So it allows you to manage the WebLogic domains, basically. And then after that, Jimmy also show you how to deploy a traffic. So this is the load balancers that talk to our managed servers in these WebLogic domains. So this is, it can be a round robins or anything that you set up for that. So overall, we'll be using Helm as a deployment tool to deploy all these services. So next, what I'm going to show you is on Lab 4, I'm going to show you how to deploy the WebLogic domain into the Kubernetes clusters. So typically, WebLogic domains consist of components like admin server. So this admin server is the one that actually help to manage your managed servers. So the managed service is the one that actually running your actual applications. So at the same time, we are also going to deploy a simple web application written in JSP. So you will deploy and you will test it out here as well. Okay. So on Lab 5, so as I mentioned, if you need additional resources to cater for your load, so you can just scale up additional managed server. So we can increase, we can scale up and scale down the managed server using the WebLogic operators here as well. Okay, and then on Lab 6, I'm going to show you how you can actually deploy an entire new Docker image into the Kubernetes clusters. Yep. So without further ado, just let us dive straight to the lab session on Lab 4. Okay. So what I will do is I will, so this is the guide that I will go through, the same guide that we used earlier on. So basically on Lab 4, the first things that you need to do is you create, similar to the rest of the services, you need to create a namespace using the Cloud Shell. Then after that, then you provide a secret key into Kubernetes. So basically these are the value pair keys that state the credential for your Oracle admin server login. So it's username and the password basically. And then after that, we are going to also configure the load balancer as well as the operators to let them know that which are the WebLogic domains namespace, so that they know how to communicate with the WebLogic domain. So you can see that there's a parameters to set the value of the domain namespace in this WebLogic operators as well as the traffic controller as well. Okay, so this is the configurations that need to do for both of these operators and the traffic. And then the next step is to actually you go ahead and deploy the WebLogic. So once you have done the configuration, everything, then we'll go ahead and deploy the WebLogic into the Kubernetes clusters. And then after that, we are able to log into this admin console. And then I'll show you how to test the application. So this is on Lab 4. So now let's go ahead back to your Oracle Cloud Console. So back to your console. So same time is this is let me expand the Cloud Shell so they can see better. So the first command is to create a namespace. Just go ahead and copy the command here from the guide, and then we paste it in here. So you can see that there's a namespace being created for WebLogic domain. Okay. So the next step is to create a secret key for your WebLogic console, admin console. So once you have done that, so the next step is to configure the load balancers and the operators. So copy the command here and then just paste it. And then just click on. So basically what you need to provide is to tell the operators that this is the domain namespace that we are going to deploy the WebLogic domain. Okay, just enter. Okay, this time you can see that the status is deployed here. And then the next step is for the traffic, the load balancer. Same thing, we are going to specify the domain, the namespace for the WebLogic domain as well. Copy and paste it here. Enter. Okay, we are done, and then you can see that the status is deployed for the traffic load balancer. So on task 3, so what we're going to do is we are going to, first of all, we are going to load the domain YAML file. So basically, this is a configuration file for your applications to be deployed into Kubernetes. So you tell you about where to get the image, what is the application's namespace and things like that. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this so that you actually load it to the local cloud console here. If you do ls, you can see that it haven't been downloaded yet. So what you do, you copy this and you will actually copy it into your local space. Paste it here. So ls again. So you can see that the domain file has been, the YAML file has been downloaded from this GitHub repository. So basically, this is actually open source operators maintained by Oracle. So you can just go ahead and look at what is the content of these libraries for the operators. Okay. So once we have done that, the next thing is to apply meaning to deploy the WebLogic domain using this domain file. Okay, just copy it, and then you can just paste it here. So it started. So we have started the deploy the WebLogic domains in the Kubernetes clusters. So now let's check the pods where the domain is running on. Okay, so basically the pod is actually the smallest computing unit to run your applications in the Kubernetes clusters. Okay, so we have deployed the admin console as well as the managed server into this the pods in the Kubernetes clusters. So let's go ahead and copy and check if it's running on already running on the Kubernetes clusters. So it will probably take about, can see here the status is this container is creating. So it's still creating the containers in the Kubernetes clusters. So it probably take about 3 minutes, so we can see the rest of the components, whether it's deployed. So next you copy this kubectl get PO. PO is the abbreviations for pods to check on this domain. Okay, so you can see to all the deployment in all the pods here. Okay, let's copy it. So you can see the first components is already running. So it will continue. It will continue to start up the rest of the managed servers in the pods as well. Okay. So eventually, what you get is while waiting, I'll just go ahead and explain a little bit about this pods deployment in the pods. So you can see that eventually you'll get these results. So the first component is the admin server, and then followed by there's 2 managed server that run our applications. Okay, so you can see that the pods are automatically being segregated in a different nodes. So for failover purposes or high availabilities and things like that. So you can actually cater for that as well. So the pods is being deployed into 3 different nodes. Okay. So let's go ahead and check again. So you have to keep running and see whether it's already set up already or not. So you can see that the first admin server is already up. So next, I think it will actually go through the starting the managed server, the rest of the managed servers. Okay. Okay, you can see that all the components are already up. So you can see that there's an admin server, there's 2 managed servers here that running your applications. Okay, next what we're going to do is to actually to set up the ingress service name and port for these backend services. So we have a port 8001 for the WebLogic domain, which is running your cluster. And then we have another port 7001, which is running your admin server. Remember that I mentioned that the admin server is the one that is used to control your managed server. So these are the 2 components. So go ahead and run this. So basically, you will set the ingress informations into the traffic's load balancers. Okay, so that you are allowed to actually access it from the outside. So copy this and paste it here. Okay, that's being done. Okay, so the next part is to access. I'm going to show you how you can access your WebLogic administrator console. So to do that, first of all, you need to know the public IP which is exposed for these components. So to get the public IP, just copy this command here. And then it will return the public IP address. Okay. Copy and enter. So this is my public IP address for the WebLogic domain. Yours could be different. So just go ahead and copy it. And then you open up your browser. And then you just paste it in here. And then you just, for admin console, the port, remember, is 7001. So just type 7001 and then slash console. Okay. Let me check the server again, see if there's anything wrong. Okay. Sorry, yeah. Give me a moment, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and check whether all the components are rerunning again. And just paste here. That is running fine. I don't see any problem. Go ahead and copy again to see whether the public IP is correct. Check whether it's a console. It is console or not. Yeah, this is console. Okay. There's no error here. Hold on, let me open up another browser to test it out. So sometimes it could be a cache problem. So the admin console is, this is the one, and public IP address, and then login form GSP. Give me a second, yeah. This is correct. Let me run that again. Huh? Check the traffic. Nothing wrong with this. Sometimes it happens. But before that, when we tested out, everything was fine. So okay, I think maybe I have selected some different configurations when I created this Kubernetes clusters. So what I do is I hope that maybe I think you should be able to see this being deployed into this the Kubernetes cluster, so that you can actually access the admin console using the username and password, which actually we created earlier on using the secret key. So you can actually log in. So once you log in, you are able to see the WebLogic console, where you can see what are the managed servers that you have been created and things like that. Okay. So so I won't be able to show it here because maybe some of the steps that I missed out early on when I set up these configurations. So once you have done that, you have logged into this, and then after that you can test the applications that we deploy into the managed servers. So basically we have written a GSP, simple GSP applications. So you trigger the mbin. So the mbin will return the data source, but there's no data source, that's why it's returning an error. So this is fine. So basically what it's going to tell you is so when it runs this trigger this request, right? So it is going to trigger, first of all, you're going to send to the traffic load balancer. So remember that we have two managed server. So it's going to be you're going to route the traffic into a round robin. So you're going to go to manage server 1 and manage server 2. So you wouldn't know what is the returning server that's processing this request. So you can go ahead and click a few times. So when you run this, you will return a different managed server that is processing this request. So go ahead and test it out. So you can see that sometimes you go to manage server 1 and sometimes you go to manage server 2. So that's why so that you can see that the deployment has been done successfully. Okay. So okay, this is on lab 4. Okay, I'm going to explain on lab 5. So basically, on lab 5, what you're going to do is you're going to use the operators to actually to scale additional managed server into your WebLogic domain. Okay, so as mentioned here, there's two types of deployment in WebLogic. So you can have a configured deployment clusters, or you can have a dynamic clusters. So configured cluster are actually manual, so you can actually scale up or scale down your clusters using a manual way, so that maybe you can change your domain file and then you can just apply that. Then it will actually increase or decrease the managed server in the clusters. Okay, and you also can do use a dynamic cluster way, so meaning that you can actually as and when there's a need to increase when the system detected, then you can actually trigger a REST API to automatically increase to automatically scale up the WebLogic clusters to increase the managed servers accordingly. So you can also use default WebLogic policies to do that, or you can also use a third-party. It's called Prometheus. Prometheus is actually a monitoring system for Kubernetes. So you can, if there's a notification, then you can do a trigger to these operators to increase the managed server. So this is the whole idea of it. Okay. So if you run through the lab sessions, okay, on task 1. So what you need to do is, first of all, you need to go to this domain YAML file and change some of these configurations. So the original was actually replica 2, so meaning that we are going to provision 2 managed server. So in this lab exercise, we are going to increase to additional to 3. So you can go ahead and change it to 3. So you can do a VI, and then after that you can change it and then just save it. So if you go to your domain YAML file, this is a sample. So this is the YAML file that you will see. So you're going to VI this file, and then you're going to change the replica. Okay. So this is where you change it, and then you go ahead and change save it to 3. Okay, to 3. So once you have done that, right, and then the next step is to reapply this deployment file. Okay, so what you do, you will do a what you call that you're going to deploy it again, and then as a rolling restart, something like that. So it's going to start the server one by one accordingly. So for the admin server, you terminate first, and then you restart, and then followed by the second, third, and fourth, things like that. Okay. So eventually, what you get is when you log into your console. So initially, you only see that there's only 2 managed server here. Okay. And then once you have done that, and then you see the additional managed server being deployed into the Kubernetes clusters. Okay, so this is the idea of scaling up the cluster manually. Okay. So this is on lab 5, and then on lab 6, what we're going to do is we are going to deploy a new Docker image. So if you realize that the Docker image that the deployment model that we are doing here is called a Docker image deployment, meaning that all the WebLogic homes, all the artifacts and content, we package it into the Docker image and do the deployment. However, there are some other way of doing deployment. For example, you can actually use call it persistent volume kind of deployment. Okay, so I would suggest that you look into some of the contents that I'm going to share with you, and you can see how you can follow that guide to understand more about the deployment models. Okay, so you can get it from here, the introductions. Okay. Okay, there's a link here. Choose a model. Just click on it. So over here, you will explain to you how you can actually do migrations of your existing WebLogic into the Kubernetes cluster. So you can see that you have different type of models here, like domain in PV. So meaning that this is persistent. So you are storing the all the content, the WebLogic installations and the WebLogic home directory into another folder so that you can actually out when you do the deployment in Kubernetes. The one that we are doing here is domain in image. So we have everything stored into the Docker image and then we just deploy it accordingly. Okay. So this is, so I would suggest that you go through this and further understand a bit about how it works actually. Okay. So that is on lab 5. So lab 6 is the one, this is lab 6. So the task that you need to do is basically you need to again go to this file domain YAML and then go ahead and change this the registry. So basically we are going to change it from 1.0 to 2.0. So this is, we have actually already prepared the image beforehand, so we can just deploy the new image, which is version 2.0. Okay. And then after that, again, same thing, you're going to do the apply, and then after that, finally, you will actually deploy the new image, Docker image into the Kubernetes cluster accordingly. Okay. So with the new image, what it does is the new program, it will give you a response at the title here, WebLogic operators demo. It will change from the black color into the green color here. Okay. Yeah, so basically this is the idea here to give you an idea of how you can actually use the deploy your WebLogic applications into the Kubernetes. So actually, we have just seen a lot of our customers have actually done that, migrating their existing WebLogics, which is running on-prem or in a conventional way of a deployment with multiple servers, physical server, things like that, and move it into the Kubernetes components. So they can work on others microservices, like you can build at your front end in Node.js and or maybe using Pythons into deploying microservices and deploy into the Kubernetes clusters. Okay, so because there's plenty of application out there, especially those mission critical, they are still running on WebLogic. So therefore, it is very difficult for them to just migrate that component into another microservices, for example, running on Node.js or things like that, because there's a lot of business logic involved. So most of the time, what they do is they will actually migrate that EJB components. EJB is the one that is that's where you actually store all your important business logic that you can actually scale using WebLogic domains components. Okay, so that's why they will still remain that part in WebLogic, where they will actually migrate this into the Kubernetes clusters. Okay. So with that, I hope that I won't be able. I'm so sorry that I won't be able to run through the actual lab step by step to show it to you. So I hope that with this, you have an idea how you can, first of all, you can easily spin up the Kubernetes clusters in Oracle Cloud easily. So just to let you know, this as mentioned by Jimmy, is fully managed by Oracle. So you don't have to pay for it. You only pay for the resources that you deploy. For example, the nodes that you provisions for the Kubernetes clusters. Okay. So on top of that, you can use some other of these like DevOps services. You can do automations, deployment automation, and things like that. And also our registry that you can actually use it. So all these are actually managed server. You don't have to set it up within your environment. You can reuse it. You can make use of these managed services. So you save you tons of work when it comes to deploying into the cloud native environment. So I hope that you find it useful, this lab. So with that, I would like to you have any questions, you can always get back to us. I think this lab session will be recorded and will be shared with you guys. So that's it from my my part. So back to you, Jane.
Thanks, everybody, and thanks for a great workshop. I hope you learned a lot. We have recorded this and answered most of the questions online. So this will be with you in a couple of days. We thank you again for your time and look forward to seeing you at our next event.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.